I was so filled with emotion. I couldn't believe that it could happen to me. I mean, who am I to go and mess up so bad in one country and to get an opportunity to go to another one? You know, who am I? Who am I? You know, it is so overwhelming because for so long my life has been defined by the story of my deportation. People will read my book and that's a story that grabs them. I'm like, that's not the definition of my life, but it is to some people. And all the other things you might have done are rubbish under it. But here's a chance of God to rewrite my story. And he was deported and he went to another country. Oh, lovely ending now. You can still keep the deportation bit, but it's not the whole story anymore. I think it was December 4th now. I get another letter and it says, we want a FBI certificate, also known as a certificate of good conduct from the United States of America. But the FBI are the ones that give it. Now, I don't even know where people go for an FBI certificate. Well, do you know anyone who has an FBI certificate? Yeah, other than me now. Now you know me. FBI certified. I tell you, Akizivito, you run, you do what? Aye. Now we are December 15th to go. They write back, they say, we have received your application, but we have a backlog. We are processing these applications up to 75 working days. Working. Eh? Yeah. I look at the email. I say, well, 75 days sini wapi? Sini huko ma April huko, ma May huko. Let me just relax. Let me enjoy the holiday. Let me take it easy. And I let it go. I went about my nini. I was planning for my children. I was taking them to a friend of ours' house in Mala for Christmas. We made plans. Of course, we talked with my wife. She was also having her Christmas over there. And 2 days before Christmas, on the 23rd of December, I got a letter from the FBI. Surprise, surprise. It is my FBI certificate. I was like, what? Somebody must have made it skip the line. Do you see God? I don't know how. We went from 75 working days to barely 10. So the thing came, and I open it up, and then my heart sinks. Because it has got 3 issues. The first issue is that it says I got a driving under the influence charge in April of 2001. It's true, I remember it. On the same day, it says that I resisted arrest. Yeah, but let me speak to those 2 first before I tell you about the third issue. So, I was driving with my sister, April 2001. We were going to Chicago, actually. We were going to pick up a friend who had just come from Kenya. And my sister had bought a new car, and I was the one driving it. And I was excited. I was finyaing it, blah, blah, blah. And we did have some cans of beer in the car. And I was drinking. I think maybe I might have had maybe two or 3 beers, something like that. It wasn't so much. But on the highway, because I was speeding, at some point there was a state trooper who was across the highway on the other side. And when he saw me, he lit up. Lit his lights up from that side. Yeah? I saw him, it's true, but I didn't think he was after me because he's on the other side. But he went and found a U-turn and began chasing me. Of course, me, see, I'm maintaining my speed, I'm going. I'm thinking he must be chasing somebody else who go that side, maybe something. But apparently he was chasing me. And because my speed was still high, it took him some time to catch up with me and stop me. But when he caught up, we stopped. And he came out pretty upset. He said, why are you running? Did you not see me? I said, I saw you, but you were on the other side. I didn't think that you were after me. And we had a good conversation. And, he did the sobriety test, which I passed. But he, of course, because he had seen the cans of beer in the car, he asked that we go to the police station. And we went there, and blood test then determined that I was over the limit in terms of the blood alcohol in my blood. By that beer or 2 or something, I don't know. Anyway, so I got a charge for driving under the influence and a charge for resisting arrest. The act of him following and catching up with me is constituted as a resisting arrest charge. Yeah, it's the same thing. Fleeing and resisting arrest, same story. So I got a court date. I actually did not sleep. I was bailed out because it wasn't jail. Like I was put in like a holding cell. My sister bailed me out. We went on the journey. We got a court date for me to return. I returned back after 2 weeks for that court date. And in the court, the first person I met was the prosecutor. The prosecutor said that if you confess to the driving under the influence charge, this other charge will be removed. And I know many of us have done those kind of things. They're called plea bargains. But unfortunately for me, at my young age, I had no idea that when you plea bargain like that, the guilty verdict remains. You pled guilty to both charges, na moja tu imetolewa. So this guilty verdict had sat there for those 21 days, waiting for this day. It would show up in a police report for those 21 years. And boom, there it was. Even though it was removed, it was still a guilty verdict. So I looked for the Missouri records. And I found them. Went to Missouri state records. And here is a lesson also on systems. Things we can do also in this country. I mean, you try looking for your records right now. Tell me, my friend. I looked for the Missouri records. I found those records. I found the fact that I had done all that thing. I said, this is the story. It's true. This happened. I said, this happened, blah, 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 blah. I attached the records, pop. I sent them together. I made an explanation. I sent the FBI report and an explanation that this is what happened. And in that explanation, I also addressed the third issue. The third issue was that it said I was deported. But now the reason for deportation, according to the FBI summary report, was that I was deported because I had entered the US illegally. And that wasn't true either. I went to school. I got a visa. I went to study. There's no way I'd entered illegally. So I told them, this third issue of I've entered illegally, this also is not true. I went to school. This particular school, this particular place. And then I let it be. And I now began the process of proving that I went to school. You don't just write to these places when you are saying something and you just say it in words. You must have evidentiary proof of I am saying this happened and then prove it. I'm saying this happened and then prove it. Remember, we're not having a conversation in person. The only thing that stands between you and whatever they're going to say is a piece of paper that where you've written some words. You have to back your piece of paper with evidence. So I went looking for evidence that I went to the US legally. My first port of call was the embassy in Nairobi. They said they could not do anything about it. I even talked to a friend who's a staff member there. She said, there's nothing we can do for you. Because when I was deported with a piece of paper. In fact, I called my mom. Hey, do you remember that paper I had when I was coming in 21 years ago? Tuliwasha nayo jiko. No, but I don't know what happened to it. So, how do I prove? I never came back with a passport. My passport was taken away. And all these years, even what I've been saying in my book is, hey, my passport was expired, my visa was valid. I know that from 21 years ago. Which has been also a bone of contention. Some people don't believe that. They've said all manner of things on the internet about it. But hey, so I went to something called the Freedom of Information Act, where it's basically something from the justice system of the US. We also have it in Kenya, where you can access information about you or someone else at a fee information that should be in public knowledge. In my case, the information I wanted and I was seeking was about my entry into the US and my exit. Can I get any documentation about those two events? So, of course, like the good Americans there, they send you to another website to pay some money. Because information costs. Watu waende kutafuta mafiles tu na ustoe kitu. Natoa. And then they wrote me and said, this will take 4 to 6 weeks. I sent that. As usual, I'm always corresponding. Send that to my guys. This is now just shortly after Christmas. I think 27th or 24th or 26th. You know, Christmas Day una spend ukijibu mashtaka. I said, this is what they have said. And of course, people said, we'll wait. So January comes and goes. On February 4th, I got a letter from the Freedom of Information Act. They said, we don't have all the resources to give you exactly what you want, but we believe this might suffice. And so they attached a copy of my passport, and that passport had a copy of the visa, clearly showing what I've always said. The passport was expired, the visa was valid at the time of my removal from the US, and they attached a copy of the court proceedings. And in the copy of the court proceedings, I believe that at that point in time, the people that were in charge of my deportation were in a hurry to finish the case. I mean, I had violated the visa requirements by working when I was not supposed to be working, but somebody thought that maybe ticking illegal entry would be a faster way to get me out of the US. And so my passport was taken away, and that is how I was deported, and I had not known that for the last 21 years. And that had me full of emotion because I had no idea. The Bible says my people perish for lack of knowledge. Did I get a lawyer that time? I didn't. I was too busy. When they said, do you want to go home? I just said, yeah. But maybe if I had gotten one, I would not have come. I'm discovering the reasons behind my deportation 21 years later. The actual reasons on the ground. Yes, because the claim about working when you're not supposed to be working is true. The claim about entering the country illegally is not true. But you see, that's a faster way to speed up the process to remove. Anyway, I've since found out that the statutes of limitations are within 7 years of you getting some restitution about that. So there's a good chance I cannot get any restitution about it. But it's good to know. If not for this process and for taking me down this road, I would never have known this. And I've spent the last so many years, vilifying myself so hard sometimes. And I thank God I came back home. Because if I didn't come back home, I don't know whether I would be still alive and around. And I'm glad I came back home. A lot of things happened after I came back. It's when I came back that I found God for myself. I mean, I went to rehab and all those things were not so good. But it was good that I came back. It's good that I came back. It's after I came back that I met my wife and my children. If I hadn't come back, I'd never have met them. And they're an integral part of my world right now. I can't believe a life without them. There was a rainbow in that storm. And a necessary one for my life. For me to be shaped by all these things that had happened to me to lead me to this place. And so when I got that final result, I sent it. And I said, I believe I have given you everything for you to make a decision. Now kindly make a decision. And I told them over the last 20 years, I've tried to shape up my life. I've used my life as a story for people. I'm involved, not just in my writing of books and things, in my community where I live. I'm involved. In my church, I teach 13 to 14-year-olds because I believe that the river is run, is blocked upstream. I volunteer my time in rehabs, not one, not two, at least 3 of them, where I go regularly to talk to people who are undergoing the pressures of alcoholism. I talk to deportees, although we don't have a formal, unit, but I talk to people on an individual basis. Somebody had left, they're struggling, they're here, They came from the UK, they came from the US, they came from what? I speak to them. I give hope, you know. I tell them it's possible to make it in Kenya. I've made my life a difference from the things that I have learned and the things that I underwent, you know. And I've been on places like this to tell that story as well. And numerous other platforms to speak to people, radio stations, and, you know, you name it. So for me, this particular whole episode has been a thing that has given me a life calling. And I told them that this has been my life's calling. And I'm hoping that you will see it from that perspective. But if you see it from the perspective where all you see is a deportee, then it's your loss. And then I sent it to them. And then I waited and waited and waited. 1 month became 2, became just about 3. And just before Easter, just after Easter, on Good Monday. Is it Good Monday? Or Easter Monday? Sasa tunamasaka hiyo masiku. Sio Good Monday. Oh Lord. So on that Good Monday, now that we are calling it that, it wasn't a very good Monday for us. My wife called me. No, she sent me a voice note. And she said, you know, in her voice note, so many things. She was just frustrated. It's taking too long. They've waited. Why are they not answering you? And we had tried to previously call the previous month about it, but they said, we are still processing. And so that day she was feeling particularly depressed about it, and she didn't go to school. And she does not miss school, that lady. And so I talked to her once, twice, 3 times. By the time we were done in the evening, I was like, this girl is getting depressed by this story. She's now being alone in a foreign country. You know, the loneliness of being solo there. She's like, I see people, husbands are coming, they're so happy, and what? Why can't this happen to us, Nini? And so I made a decision to call the department. And I made a phone call to Sydney at about 7 o'clock in the morning here. I made a phone call and I said, first of all, they kept me on hold for 53 minutes. Then the phone cut. And I put in credit, I called again. But this time, of course, I'm pissed off because they can keep you on hold for long. They toss you from one person to another. Everyone asking you the same questions. Where's your passport number, your reference number, and then they toss you. I finally got someone. And then this person started to tell me that they were not able to give me the result. I said, no. I'm just calling because I think you people should determine it one way or another. It's been too long. I give you a new time. It's been, even if you look at your own website, 57 days, even after the last correspondence have entered into the time that we have waited several times. And you're causing my wife mental anguish. I said, just determine it. And if you feel like you don't want to determine it with a yes, say no. So that we can see how we are going to move on in our life. So I can see what to do about my wife. Maybe I need to bring her home for a holiday. Kidogo. But just say what you're going to say. But say it. So the nice lady there listened to me and I could see she was feeling my story. And then she asked me, Mr. Kones, would you like to put this in writing? I said, yeah. And so I was led to our website. I went to the complaint section. She showed me what to do. And she said, right, I wrote. I wrote. And writing can sound harsher than what you say, eh? I said, you know what, it's been so long, we've been waiting, if you feel you don't want to give, don't give. But just say what you want to say. Just say, so that we know this thing is not going to work. And I sent it to them. And the day passed and nothing happened. And the following day, my wife called me. And she said, I'm feeling better. Even I think you're going to come. I'm optimistic. Najui mimi nisharusha mawe kwa police station. Let me say, you know, there's one old man who told me once upon a time that wisdom is knowing what not to tell your wife. In this particular scenario, I exercised wisdom. Si kusema nimerusha mambo huko. I tell you, this life is so interesting. So then another day passed, and then I went to work early in the morning on a Friday. This is the same week, on that Friday, from Good Monday to another Good Friday. And I landed in work and I was pissed off because I was like, this, and I had applied for a job somewhere else, by the way, at another media house. And that media house had taken me around in circles, and then they were leaving me pending as well. So I had 2 pending issues. I've got a pending job I've applied for, and I've got a pending a visa application. And I got a job, and I was seated at my desk. And I thought, I'm really tired of this job. Not tired because they're bad people, but because I had reached the apex or the ceiling of my usefulness in that place. I had come to an end, and I'd felt it for over a year. I used to go to work and sit in the parking lot and psych myself to enter. I knew my time was up. I had known my time was up from 2023 January. I knew my time was up. In fact, not just 2023 January. When were the elections? 2022. I had always said after elections, I won't be here. But I was there after elections. I was timing an inauguration of a new president with my exit. But a new president came in and I was still there. 2023 came in and I was still there. And I'd stayed in another whole year. Now it was 2024. So I sat on my desk and I wrote a resignation letter. And I gave 30-day notice. And I resigned. And I say, I'm giving 30-day notice and all that. And surprisingly, I get a reply about 2 hours later. They're like, oh, you've accepted. Even that 30-day notice, it's okay. You can take your leave days. We'll pay you for them. You can go immediately. I'm like, Allah, Kwani? These people, they wanted me to leave. These people, who are these people? Huh? So anyway, I told them, no. I'll come and finish on Monday. And anyway, I couldn't have finished even clearing on that same day. So that is in the afternoon. In that same afternoon, I've done that. I go home. I pick my daughter from school because she was closing. Yeah. And on my way home, I see an email. And it's from these guys that I had applied a job to. And they are offering me a job. I was jobless for less than, I think, 2 hours or 3. I'm like, oh, that's good. So funny. I've resigned and I've got a job. Excellent. So I go and pick up my daughter from school. I talk to her teacher. I go home and I think I'm going to nap kidogo nini. And as I'm taking a nap, I get another email. And this one is from the Australians. And I know, nilikuwa nimerusha mawe kwa police station. I know this cannot be a good email. And I open it. And lo and behold, it's a visa. And I looked at it. It was my phone. I decided my phone is lying. Unajua laptop ninasemanga ukweli. Laptop ni kubwa. Kaenda kufungua laptop kwanza. And then I called my wife. I told her, I was so filled with emotion. I couldn't believe that it could happen to me. I mean, who am I to go and mess up so bad in one country and to get an opportunity to go to another one? Some people don't get the first. Who am I? It's so overwhelming because for so long my life has been defined by the story of my deportation. People will read my book and that's a story that grabs them. I'll do interviews. I can talk about 100 different things. I even consulted with another guy I did an interview with. We did an interview about my books. 40 chapters. And the only chapter he was writing about on the headline was deported. I'm like, that's not the definition of my life. But it is to some people. People don't see beyond the fact that you went to one country and you came back. And all the other things you might have done are rubbished under it. But here's a chance of God to rewrite my story. And he was deported. And he went to another country. Oh, lovely ending now. You can still keep the deportation beat, but it's not the whole story. anymore. And so I was emotional because of that. I was emotional because, like I told you in the beginning, I didn't think I would get it. I knew these people don't take these matters easily in terms of somebody who went and messed up. And I had been given a second chance, an opportunity, even though I had messed up. And so I called my wife about it. And we talked. And she dropped the phone. And she asked for evidence. Thomas says, kumbe si Thomas peke yake alikuwa anataka kuona zile nini. No, show me. And so I sent to her my correspondence. And now began a new journey of planning to go and meet her. On the day, I also had a job. Yeah? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Like, who's supposed to have such things? And it was on the 4th of the 4th month of 2024. And even now my wife was like, I've always had the money for your ticket. And let me tell you what, my woman is a woman of faith. I want to believe that girl of mine spoke life into my life. When she went to there's some keys I had. First I told her there were some keys I had. These are the only things I had when I came from America. A bunch of keys. Those are some house keys and a car key. Together, they're lumped up together. They have got my address from Chicago. They were in my shorts when I came. I've kept them all these years. They've always been in a box in my room. When she was going to Australia, I gave her that box. I told her, go with these keys. I'll come for them. I hadn't applied. I don't think I was even so serious about saying it, but she went with them. When she got there now, and finally got her house to herself, the day she got her house to herself, she called me. And everything in that house, she'd be calling me, I found a couch, I've sent you the picture, do you like it? Do you like this one or this one? I'm the one choosing the couches. I'm the one choosing the car she's driving there. In fact, I selected it from here. I'm the one telling her, okay, check this, check that. I'm the one choosing the furniture in terms of the dining table. I'm choosing the bed. The bed she's sleeping on, I picked it. She put me on the lease. On the lease, my name is on the lease. We have not applied for a visa. She's like, this house is your house too. I can't live here like I'm a single woman. I get the bills on my email as well. The internet, I set it up. It's in my name. The bills are coming to my email. Sometimes she has to call me. Oh, have you seen this or that, the other? And then she moves to the house in the bedroom. She's got one section of her bedroom, one section of her clothes, and the other is empty. She's like, these are for your clothes when you come. We hadn't applied. I'm like, really? Really? She'll buy a pillow and put it on my side and show me, these pillows here are you. You're coming. It's quite something. And then there's a video she sent me during the time I got that letter for S57. It's one of the best videos I've ever seen in my life from my wife. It was a video that has really gave me a lot of life. And I played it over and over again, and it's amazing how spouses can use their words to really affirm you and make you believe something. And I think, and I told her, that video really did it for me in most moments when I felt really low. Because I can tell you this, when I first got that letter, I was really low. The harsh letter. Because you see, if they reject you, sometimes that rejection comes with a ban because of the attempt to divert information. And I was thinking, now a ban to Australia, what is that for now? And now I have got children. My children might go abroad and go study in various different countries. It would be nice for me to go and it's not that I'm crazy about living abroad myself. Honestly, I'm not. Because I feel like my future, my purpose is mainly here. The things that I was meant to do are here. But you think about your kids, and if they were to go somewhere, you want to have the ability to be able to go and visit, to go and travel, to go and and do something, and you feel like, wow, God, just just clear the hedges for me, even though I made a mistake in the past.
I thought I should say this in recording so that it sinks in you. The determination of the visa does not determine my relationship with you, babe. Acha nisimame. I love you so much. Whether you get this visa or not, you remain my husband and my number one friend. And I will not betray you for any reason. Whether the visa or whether anything. I will stick to our vows. And I love you and will always respect you as my husband, the head of our home, and my best friend. Take heart, be patient. Just know that the visa you will get, and just be patient. I told you this process is for teaching you patience. Just be patient and just wait. Engage yourself in other things. Avoid as much as possible to keep on checking on the results. And boom, the visa will be there.
So that video really, really did it for me. And many times also, we would make prayers, we would talk, we would encourage each other with Bible verses. And then there were friends who spoke life to me at every given part. There's one particular friend, I think I should just mention him. This guy is called Jude Chesire. And Jude and I used to take long walks to talk about this particular process. And at some point I told him, I gave him a thought about something else I wanted to do, and I wanted his involvement in it. And he said, we have asked God. He said, when you go to a hotel, he told me, when you go to a hotel and you order, and the waiter goes for your food, yeah? Do you wait like 20, 30 minutes and then you call the waiter and your food is just about to get ready only for you to make a change? He's like, no, we are not going to change the order. We are waiting. We haven't been told no. That order is coming. That order is coming. And those are the things, let me tell you, coupled with that blind faith that my wife exercised and other people around me that have kept me in the drive. People like my friend Ron Chu said, what, let's get to the bottom of the tunnel. Let's find out what is in it at the very end. And I believe this process has also taught me a lot. It wasn't a useless experience. As my wife said, it's teaching us patience. It taught me patience. It taught us how to rely on God more. Sometimes some things are taken away from you so that you realize that there are things that you cannot do anything about as a person. It removed the ability for me to rely on my own intelligence, because after you have done everything and sorted, there is no way, even on my own, I used to say, on my own, I don't qualify. But let God qualify me. Because on paper, a person who went to America and messed up shouldn't be going anywhere else. But God. Only that. And that is how I find myself here today. Or rather, as I speak, there today. Yeah.
How is it you have a banana?
I'm convinced that we all have a life purpose, ordained from God, that we are supposed to fulfill. In my case, I believe that everything that has happened up to this point has been to solidify that life purpose in my life. And I think it's only when we have fulfilled it that we then check out of this planet. We fulfill it at 60, at 90, at 70, whatever it is. But we are supposed to do something with our time. And for me, part of this going abroad, coming back, and going abroad again is part of that purpose. I don't go this time with the mentality of last time. I don't go because necessarily I must settle or find ways to settle. I go because I think there is a gap I need to help fill, both here and there. There, in terms of, I know a lot of people struggling abroad who need help, who need assistance, who need someone to plug into and tell their stories and help them to find, an avenue where they can realize that they're not the only ones who are going through that. We also need help here with people and expectations of people abroad, of themselves when they go abroad, and some of the expectations are very warped and wrong. And I think God has made us, like me, I made a Kenyan for the purposes of this country. So whatever I do abroad has ultimately to lead me back here. Some strange things have happened since these two incidences, since I quit my job, is that it was almost as if things were waiting for me to do that. People I've seen have been called to numerous meetings. Some of them I've had to turn down. And it almost looks as if I'm looking for them. I haven't. People have come looking for me. Maybe God was waiting for me to say I'm available. I've left. And then he starts just throwing things like, you go do this, you go do this, you go do this, And I feel like in that way, it solidifies the need for your purpose. My books, people tell me, oh, you wrote your books, you made so many mistakes. Nini, I was so mad at you. It almost seems to suggest that my life has only been about mistakes. I've had many things where I've done things right. But are those book worthy? If we were to ask ourselves, do we learn more from our mistakes than from our triumphs? It's from our mistakes. It's why my book is full of a lot of things I made a mistake about. Because those teach us more than me telling you, for example, I got this right. There are things I got right. Like every other person, there are things I got extremely right. But the things I got wrong have lessons that are compounded, not just for me, but for other people as well to learn from. And that is why that book stays there, as there is no useless experience, mainly focusing on the wrongs, because those are not useless experiences. I mean, no one says an experience that they did right is useless. Every experience you did right is useful. So there is no useless experience has to be a book about mistakes, so that we can say that there is no useless experience. Which is why I wrote the way I wrote. And I believe that now I can write a book of hope. Now I can write a book that says, there are moments of despair and then there are moments of triumph. I used to pray to God and ask God, give me one moment of a happy moment at an airport. I've seen that happen to people. My airport experiences have never been happy. I went to the US the first time, I was drunk. It was unhappy. I came back deported. It was an unhappy time for me, for my family, for everybody. Yeah, my wife went. I wasn't happy. I was being left alone. She came back. I had a brief happy moment and then a sad one because she had to go again. And I've had many unhappy moments where I take people and they are going. And I've never really had a moment of true happiness at an airport. And I used to tell God, give me one. Let me in my lifetime say, one day I had a happy time at an airport. And I look forward to such a time in Sydney. Many dreams I had of not landing in Sydney, by the way. I've dreamt of landing in America because I believe at some point in this life of mine, I shall return to that country. Not to stay, but to fulfill the circle. That it is possible. That it's possible for God to change a story and to change it in this one lifetime. Because after all, hatuna maisha ingine tunaishi. I used to listen to the songs by Gloria Muliro. Miaka yote ilioliwa na nzige, narudisha. I used to say, utarudisha aje? unless ikulwe na nzige to begin with. How will you say God delivers if you are not in trouble? How will you say he restores if you never lost? How will you say he heals if you never got sick? The bad has got to happen for you to see the good has come. And that's what gives glory. So even what happened to me, it was bad. It should have gone better. But it had to happen for the glory of God to be manifest in the good here. And I've seen it in many angles. I see it also in my wife. I think, ours was a divine meeting to spur each other to good works. Even when she was going to Australia, I never imagined I would come. I always thought in my mind, this was my plan. My children will go and visit their mother. If they want, they can stay with her a bit. They come back. Yeah? And I was thinking, I'm going to go, I'll build my things here. I'm happy to hear about them and what they're doing. And then they'll be visiting me, and my wife will return. And when she returns, she'll find that I have built that dream of ours, and we'll be just chilling. That was all in my head. Now at least I have opportunity to say I can go and visit and come back. And I can go and visit and come back again. And it doesn't have to be at now I'm stuck because of the boundary of Nini. I'm not able to move, because I believe for me, my true call is here. I'm called to impact here. My life abroad in the beginning was probably the life of somebody who wanted to be an immigrant to go and live forever. Not anymore. It's not my desire. I think that we are called to make changes, and the best changes we can make are the ones that start right where we are. Because it's Kenyans who are my brothers and sisters, and our suffering is already very prevalent here. I look at counties and the way they send children abroad, and I tell myself I would love to start a program to work with counties to give children some kind of education before they go abroad. I wish I could talk to parents and tell them, don't send a child at 19 to a foreign country who's never climbed a matatu here. What are you doing? Let them stay here. Let them learn how to operate Mpesa and do some accounting and do things before they go. Mature them in life. Give them some tasks they can do here. But if you must send them, okay, let's try and give them a program, something they have a fallback on when things go tough there. And it's not just issues of things go tough. Things go tough in relationships. People are given character development there in a crazy way. There's betrayal. You land somewhere, and the people you land, for some ladies, they get some roommates, and the same roommates are the ones who are going to spike your drink and rape you. And it's on your mind, and you cannot tell anyone. You're in a foreign country. The shame is overwhelming, and it's depressing. A young man told me recently how he was trying to seek asylum in Australia, and he was saying that he's gay. And he's not gay. But he's so afraid of coming back that he's forcing himself to go and state things that are not true. I mean, who told us that this country is so bad we all must run away from it? Who will stay and make it good? It's us. It's in us. We're supposed to be the ones we are the change that we seek, as Obama said. We are the ones supposed to make a difference right here. And if we don't change it, who will want to stay in this country? No country can absorb all of us. Even if we wanted to all go abroad, we can't. No wonder the people are putting, all these vikwasos to make sure that people don't go. And that's another thing, by the way, that I say it's the hand of God, because I got a visa at a time when denials are at an all-time high. And for no reason. Some of them are being denied without reference to anything. Sasa mimi mwenye nilikuwa deported, should have been a straight denial. No questions asked. First time. You can't go. We know about America. You can't go. But that also tells you that's the hand of God. There's a reason why God has allowed that to happen at this particular time, at this particular place, other than the fact that I'm happy to go and meet my wife. There is something else. And it's that calling that I'll be chasing. And I think the bottom line I can say, the biggest take home for me and the way my life is sometimes I sit back, someone told me, hey, your life is like a movie. I said, I think we are all making movies. Whether make good ones or dull ones or boring ones or whatever movies we are all making movies. But other than that, the takeaway I take from myself is that there is a God of a second chance, and that this life is not defined by the mistakes that you made in the past. And whatever mistake you made, even you who's watching me, who believes they are too far spent, too far gone, cannot be redeemed, it's possible for your story to take a new turn. It's possible. And it may take 21 years like mine, but it can turn.